Back in the late 90s, I was a teenager full of hopes and dreams, and most of all, an unshuckable love for the wilderness. I got that from my grandpa. I'm convinced that if he hadn't fallen for my grandma and settled down, he would have ended up a full-on mountain man. You never would have guessed it from meeting him at work, though. He was the short, average-built guy in a shirt and tie, your typical white-collar accountant. But the moment the weekend rolled around, it was like watching Clark Kent step into a phone booth and walk out as Superman. Grandpa became a 5'6" Rambo, muscles tucked away under his office shirts. Just a complete transformation. By the time I started going hunting with him, he'd already retired, so I mostly knew him as Outdoor Grandpa. He was my hero. Me, him, my older sister Jess, and my mom went hunting a lot. Grandma and Dad stayed home. Grandma hated the killing, and Dad was honestly the worst shot you could imagine. Eventually, he admitted he was such a liability that it was better if he just waited at home to help process whatever we brought back. Those trips were some of my happiest memories, but nothing lasts forever. Grandma got sick and passed away. My parents split up, and it wasn't exactly amicable, so Dad and Grandpa stopped talking. Jess went off, got married, and started her own family. Grandpa grew old. I stuck around. I ran a small general store in town, and he helped out in retirement, mostly sitting in a rocking chair on the porch, greeting customers and spinning stories. The store did well enough that paying Grandpa to be the local character felt absolutely worth it. He was, honestly, the best friend I ever had. He lived in an assisted living facility where he could come and go as he pleased, with staff around if he needed help. I asked him more than once to move in with me and my partner, but he refused every time, said we didn't need an old man stinking up the place with cigar smoke. I'd remind him my sense of smell had always been terrible anyway, and he'd remind me my partner's wasn't. Secretly, I think he had a crush on one of the nurses and just wouldn't admit it. One weekend, when we both had time off, I went to visit him. He was in unusually high spirits. Even for him, he looked healthy, laughed loudly over cards, celebrating wins and losses alike. Eventually, I asked what was going on. Something was clearly up. When he told me, I was stunned. I had to stand and stare out the window for a minute. It was a gray, rainy day, and it somehow fit the moment. He'd gotten a letter from an oncologist he'd been seeing without telling me. I don't remember every detail, but the words that stuck were brain tumor, inoperable, and put your affairs in order. I turned back to him, angry for the first time in my life at this man I adored. I asked how he could be so happy, how he could let me think something good was happening. He just smiled gently and said I'd understand when I was his age 82. He told me he was going to see Grandma again, and my mom too, who had also passed by then. Knowing the end was coming didn't scare him. It felt like nearing the last page of a really good book, and all things considered, a brain tumor was a quicker exit than many cancers. We sat in silence for a while. Then I asked him if there was anything he wanted to do before the end. His whole face lit up like he'd been waiting for that question. He said there was one that got away, and he wanted one last hunting trip. It wasn't easy. He needed a cane sometimes, even a wheelchair. Though he refused the wheelchair for the trip, we headed deep into the woods together, and what once would have been a single day's hike stretched into 4 days of slow progress, stopping to rest, to camp, to talk. And honestly, I think that was exactly what he wanted. Time with me, away from everything. It felt like pure soul food for us both.